Going on, Rob? Good to see you again.
Hey, Tim.
Back to talking about Rob's 10 tenets of kindness. It's just been fun, man. This is good. We need to just start making lists and like talking about them every week.
I love a good list.
Yeah. Number 7, kind is not who we are, but a state of being. And number 8, kindness is a process. What?
Woo! Woo! That first one, I have people think I'm against labels. I get that a lot. People think like, "Oh, Rob, you're against these profiling tools and those kinds of things." I'm like, "No, I'm not. In fact, I built some of those kinds of things." I do really think we need to be attentive to uh our tendency toward wanting to label people. And so with this first one, kindness is not who we are, but a state of being. I thought, I need to be careful about labeling people as a kind person or an unkind person. Primarily because what it does is it puts me into a fixed mindset about human beings. Like what it communicates to myself and to everyone else is people are either what they are or not. And I'm not saying there isn't some of that goes on in our reality, but it's a tension again between that and also maintaining my growth mindset, my
Exactly.
understanding that someone could actually change. And so instead of even the language I use and saying like, Tim is unkind, Tim is not kind. Well, I think it's something, it's not who we are, but it's a state of being in a moment. And so I would like it to become more kind. But I think that was my point, is that just to be careful
Yeah.
and thoughtful in labeling someone, and because it affects how I see you. And I think a longer, I'm always about this longer term perspective. When I step back, it's like that we're more or less kind in different moments
Yep.
of our lives for different reasons. And so that was my main point with that, is in a reminder to myself, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm of the belief, the philosophy that we are all becoming. None of
Hmm.
us are static. Like there is literally no way you can stay the same in this life, even though you fight to do it because it's comfortable. If I say I'm going to stay the same as today, I'm going to age and I will
Yeah.
change. If I
Yeah.
say, you know what, I'm going to sit on the couch in this moment, my body's going to deteriorate. Like you literally cannot stay the same.
Yeah.
So the question is, are you becoming intentionally or unintentionally, right? And
Yeah.
that's where this becomes a process, and not who you are necessarily at any given moment, because we're all flawed. That's our common humanity. Our common humanity is marked by good intentions and high aspirations in the face of failure to meet our own standards and aspirations, right?
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
and so, we've had a couple tools that we've put in at the kindness games to kind of help you with this journey. One, we say that curiosity, adopting a mindset of being curious, produces self-control, because when you get that bad feedback, when somebody comes at you and you don't let yourself go fight or flight, and you say like, oh man, what's going on with this person to make them react that way? Are they having an okay day?
Right.
Like, hey, is there anything I can do for you? You're not normally like this, and I'm sorry if I upset you, but like I don't want to see you this way. I don't want to experience you this way. Or when you get that bad feedback, be like, well, that's interesting, because I actually thought I did really good work here. Can you help me understand where my gap is, right? And leaning into those conversations out of curiosity, not trying to defend yourself, produces that self control, and it opens up that
Yeah.
opportunity to understand another person.
Yeah. One of the things I love these conversations because they take my brain into new spaces. But one of the upcoming conversations I think that I'm preparing for is on wisdom,
Oh,
and
light bulb.
talk about something that we don't talk about, like what is wisdom. And so I've been thinking a lot about, as I prepare for that and do some writing on it, like what are the tenets of wisdom, and what does that even, and when you were talking about this kind of this state of when if we were becoming more kind, and I thought of wisdom, like One of the things that came up with wisdom when I thought about it, from I stepped back from it, I said, what is this really about? One of the things I thought about was, well, I think about Yoda.
Oh,
Like, can you imagine? Like, by the way, do you know how Yoda talks? Do you know what Yoda's grammar is?
oh no.
Um, he puts, I think it's this. He puts the object at the end of the sentence,
Yeah, yeah.
or no, at the beginning. He puts it at the beginning of the sentence.
That's right.
A conversation I will have. Anyway,
Awesome.
nobody's interested in that, Rob. But I think about one of the things with that is it's hard to imagine Yoda rushing.
Because he's old. Just kidding.
I wasn't thinking that, but maybe that's, but it's like, but he's, you know, he's kind of the archetype of wisdom, and it's hard to imagine him rushing anywhere. You know what I mean? It's hard to imagine him reacting in anger. It's like, it's just interesting. I mean, you saw these, you know. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
I will say that the absence of knee-jerk reactions is a sign of maturity and wisdom, right?
Yeah.
Because people who are wise, people who actually want to intentionally develop something better, are thoughtful. And thoughtfulness requires time to consider and evaluate.
Right. There's so much in that, dude. I
Well,
was
and
thinking,
that leads into
yeah,
mindfulness and purpose too,
it
right? Like if
does.
you come into a
Yes.
conversation, if you come into a situation, especially ones that you dread, what is my purpose for me here, and what is my purpose for you here? I think we might have kind of pseudo stolen that from you guys.
Well,
That's something that we all
it's all
talk about
good.
a lot, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of related to this next one. Kindness is a process.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this because I met with a CEO and that we've worked with their organization for several years. You know that we do this whole leader development process for multiple years. Like it's a deeply embedding process of developing people. And at one point he said to me, is like, you know, we did all this work and it was awesome. He goes, I thought we were good. And then things started to go south.
We
And it's like,
arrived, and then we thought we were going to stay
and he
there.
thought that. And so when I was talking about kindness as a process, I was thinking of him because that's not uncommon. That's the feeling, is like we just focus on the outcome. We go like, okay, now we built the culture that we want, and then we're done. And it's like, it's so interesting. It's not something we arrive at, but something we maintain and work on for the rest of our lives and our career in our organizations. And it's like beginning to imagine, you know, that it's not like all of a sudden we're good, but instead it's about inviting us into the reality that we will fail, we will fall, we will have off days as individuals, as leaders, as teams, but we're in it for the long haul, that we will continue to work this. Something I'm fascinated by is that if you look around, our reality, I don't love this about our way, our created way, is that everything in our world requires maintenance.
It's true.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like we get older, our cars age, our organizations age. And so the idea that we arrive is just not true. And so continuing to work at maintaining and building a culture of kindness, we're not going to all of a sudden, okay, now we're kind.
Right. Well, and you know, the funny thing is too, right? Like at some point, all of us are going to be done with our career.
Yeah.
Whether we choose to hang it up, whether we're not able to do it anymore, whether we retire because we're ready to relax and spend the time with our family, or we're in the sick bed. Yeah. Right?
Right.
This will end. And who will you have become? Because you don't get to flip the switch. We all know the grumpy old men.
Yeah.
Because they spent an entire life learning to be grumpy.
Yeah.
Who will you become?
Yeah.